begins rust-proofing. The Chiefs have just come out on the ice for a warm-up period. They're about to try for their 5th consecutive win. They're getting a good round of applause from their own booster club, who have traveled all the way from Charlestown to be here in Peterborough tonight.
Need more energy throughout the day? Looking for a kick to your workout? RockinThatIDLife.com has you covered with delicious flavors you've grown to love in tropical fruit and mixed berry, but now fall in love with the new fruit punch and orange flavors. Try them all at RockinThatIDLife.com.
Realtor Mike Burgoyne with Real Brokerage LLC makes the moving process easier. Work with a realtor who plays and studies the game and will work as hard as the boys on the ice to get you the best deal. Check out Mike on the web at strikewithmike.com and jumpstart your move today. That's strikewithmike.com. Welcome to episode 29 of season 11. This is episode number 405 all time of the often imitated, never duplicated. You've got to remember that these are just simple farmers. They're people of the land, the common clay of the New West. You know,
assholes. Oh wait, you're
morons.
Right. It's morons. I've. It's been way too long since I've seen it.
Good old clip from one of the funniest movies of all time, Blazing
the
Saddles.
Funniest movie.
The funniest. Special thanks to our sponsors, RockinThatIDLife.com. And we're the original St. Louis Blues Hockey Podcast. Let's go Blues Radio. Forget to mention that.
Yeah.
Special thanks to our sponsors, RockinThatIDLife.com, StrikeWithMike.com, and CenterIceBrewery.com for proudly sponsoring the show. Please check them out. Also, don't forget to check out our t-shirt shop at Let'sGoBlues.com for the very best St. Louis Blues themed t-shirts at a fair price. It is Wednesday, March 22nd. We're streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. To interact with the show on the social medias, our handle on all the socials is at LGB Radio. I'm Kurt Price. My co-host for the big show tonight is Bill Day, and Austin Lynch is lurking behind the scenes, pulling some strings. Jeff Ponder is out on assignment, trying to hunt down the program director at Bally Sports Midwest for not airing the Perron video tribute in Tuesday's game. She's quite upset about.
Yes, hoping for an in-show update. Kind of like right. the final scene of Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, there's a hostage situation at Enterprise Center or at Bally Sports, wherever their headquarters are.
Yeah.
The agenda for tonight includes discussion of boots. We'll discuss Binnington's suspension and the almost fight on the ice, which happened last Wednesday night. And Joel Hofer was called up and has looked good. The shutout loss to Detroit and the return of some former Blues players on the ice that night. I can't think of Perron. That's right, David Perron. He was in the building last night. Fanatics is announced as the new jersey manufacturer for the NHL, and fans are generally pissed. We'll talk about that. More Pride Night controversy in San Jose and Chicago. What will the future of Pride Night look like in the NHL? They can't keep doing this. Next season will be interesting. So all that and more on this episode of Soap. Let's go Blues Radio. What's up, Bill? This is you and I tonight. A lot of room in here. A lot of space. It's very spacious.
Right. It is. It's very spacious, and I've got heightened expectations of a shorter show, but there's a lot to talk about, so we'll see how that goes.
There is. We might have to. I'm sure we'll have one more things of ourselves. To contribute to make up for Ponder not being here. Yeah,
always happens. And I'm sure that Austin will be popping in and out, and
sure.
Chiming in his 2 cents and correcting us when we're wrong.
So
it's bound to happen.
I'll bring Austin in here for a second. So hey, Austin. What's up? Hey, so you've now been the official producer of Let's Go Blues Radio for a handful of shows now. Mm-hmm. Is it everything you expected it to be?
I'm getting ready to put in my 2 weeks.
So have you put in your 2 weeks at STL Fanatics? Or are you just still
No, I have still not done that. I am still technically on payroll, have never been scheduled.
You know what? Show up at the Christmas party.
I should just text them.
Yeah. And bring a red stapler. because that's kind of the situation you got going on.
I should just show up one day for a random shift that I'm not even scheduled for.
And you know what? Have you used your employee discount?
I have.
Yeah, I keep using it.
I used it on a bunch of reverse retro stuff when that stuff first came out.
Okay.
But
all right.
other than that,
good. Well, we'll I'm sure we'll play back in to maybe fill in
Probably.
for Ponder a few times here in the show and get your
Probably.
thoughts on a couple things. So
right.
be ready.
I will.
All right. Thank you, Austin.
That's why he makes the big bucks. He's
Yeah,
gotta be
I
ready.
mean, yeah.
Snap of her fingers.
He's got to be ready. He's got to be on his toes. We pull him in, he can't be sitting there with his pants down. So he's got to be ready. We don't really have any announcements, so we can just go straight to the official beers of episode number 405. You can follow each of us on the Untapped app. My handle is CPrice12. Jeff says J Ponder 94. Bill says Billy Blue Note 33. Bill, are you rocking a beverage tonight?
I am. I am getting to a full-blown alcoholic tipping point here soon, I think. So, of course, I'm drinking. I have never had this. I don't think I've ever had anything by this brewery. Very old school craft brewery from the West Coast. Rogue.
Ah, okay.
This is their Rolling Thunder 2023 Imperial Stout. Picked it up at Randall's Fairview last night, and it keeps with my typical selection of beers. I grab it and then sit down. I'm like, 14%, huh? Okay. So 13.7 ABV, high alcohol content. And the one thing I don't like, it's a skinny can. So it's
what's wrong with the skinny cans?
Not for
Imperial Stout in a skinny can.
That's
weird.
Yeah, it's this is the first.
It should be a short fat can.
Right.
Not a skinny can.
Like if I'm drinking it out of an abnormal shaped beer container, I want like the hand grenade style Hams bottle or something like that, right? I don't want the skinny. The last version of Friday the 13th from our local favorites XL, we're also in the skinny cans. And I don't know. It's just I think to me there's just a stigma with the seltzers.
Yeah, you see more beers with a skin. It's mostly light beers, right? Seltzers and light beers.
Mick Ultra,
yeah,
right. Yeah. Mick Ultra after a race out of a skinny can. It's a great thing.
Nope. It seems like it fits, right?
Right.
It seems right. Or
13.7% alcohol by value, right? But
the Bud Light Orange is a skinny can. If any beer were ever made for a skinny can, this is it, right?
Yeah.
Bud Light Orange.
Yeah, but not a 13.7 ABV Imperial Stout.
No. How many ounces is it?
It's 12.
Okay.
It's a typical 12 or 16 is what I usually have, and so 12 it works. Just odd.
Ken Morris says a stout beer in a skinny can is like a curvy blonde in loose clothing.
Well, that was like my preference in the 90s, right?
Wow. That's funny. Okay, so and Matt Harris says, let's see. Matt Harris says he has
the nitro.
He has their nitro stout in his fridge right now.
Yeah, that's
Rogues.
the Shakespeare nitro that was right next to this on the shelf, but I was already close to $100 in bourbon as well, so I'm limiting my purchasing right now. But I will pick that up next time I'm there.
Yeah, so I'm going skinny can as well. I'm going with I turned around and I had in my fridge behind me. I was not going to go upstairs and get another beer. I've got Bourbon County, a bunch of Bourbon County in the fridge behind me, and I've got a Bud Light Orange and a gummy beer. So I'm like,
your favorite?
No, that's like the worst. So I'm like, well, I'll get the Bud Light Orange, and we'll have that, and I'll open it right here.
I don't know what it is. It's probably a Molson, but I have a second beer that I will get to in my little mini fridge that I keep in there. So
My second beer is a soda.
Mm.
I'll drink that later. That's my chaser for my Bud Light Orange.
Hey. Wait, was that an Alabama cup?
No.
Did you drive to Alabama to get a soda?
No, with a banjo on my knee. Yeah, I did. It Arby's. Apparently, Arby's has changed their logo. It's just a big A. So
interesting.
Yep.
I had Lion's Choice tonight. I had the better roast beef sandwich.
Did you have root beer, Bill?
Yeah. It's the only way you can eat Lion's Choice.
I was not aware. I still have not had Lion's Choice with root beer yet.
It was quite tasty.
A couple nights ago, I went by Lion's Choice after I was playing some pickleball at the Y, and on the way home, stopped by Lion's Choice. Was in the mood for some roast beef, and I went in the drive-thru, and they were like, "Just so you know, we're out of roast beef." I'm like,
"You're Lion's Choice?
You're the one. You don't serve much of anything else."
Right.
You have turkey, and you have hot dogs, I think. But
would you like our meatball sub that is made from Beyond Meat?
Do they have a meatball sub? They do, don't they?
Yeah, it's a Beyond Meat meatball sub.
Yeah, I can't imagine that sells too well. Maybe it does.
I tried it.
Did you?
It was okay.
I've had plant-based burgers before.
Yeah.
A few different kinds. They're hit or miss. One of them I had was pretty. It doesn't taste like a hamburger. It has a different kind of taste. It's not bad. It just doesn't taste just like a hamburger. It's got its own little thing going on.
No,
it's fine.
I've done Qdoba, the Beyond Meat, the Beyond Beef there. That's probably my least favorite. Panda Express has the Beyond Chicken,
dog.
The orange chicken.
It's dog.
It's not chicken, that's for sure.
If it ain't chicken, it ain't beef at a Chinese restaurant, I ain't eating it. It's gonna be dog.
That's I mean, that was the always the fear in Cahokia if you ever went to the China Express there, that you got the neighborhood dog.
A lot of missing pet posters posted around the neighborhood.
Yes.
Great. And I imagine that the Department of Health does not really come around too much in Cahokia.
No, never. Not even back in the 90s when I would go to that place. So.
Probably about as much as the cops patrol East St. Louis. Like, they just don't.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Pretty much.
All right. Let's. And Austin did. We did forget that we will. Bill, Ponder, myself, and Austin, all four of us, the crew, will be at the game, the Blues game on. That's Tuesday, right?
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. Yeah. Against Vancouver.
Yeah.
Austin hooked us all up with some tickets. So it was nice of him to do that, and so we're all gonna go check it out, hang out, and watch the Blues probably beat Vancouver. I'm guessing. I don't know. I wouldn't bet against them.
I'm rooting for an overtime game. To be honest,
that'd be nice.
Yeah, and a shootout loss last night's outcome pleased me.
Okay. And interesting, it isn't today the anniversary of the Beatles' first record being released, and on that album was "Please Please Me."
That sounds about right.
I believe it was today.
Yeah,
the anniversary.
60
years ago today, something like that.
I feel like I should know this.
God, 60 years ago. That's before my time, and it just makes me feel old. What was that? Oh. Yeah, correct. Austin says 60 years ago today. Thank you, Austin.
Immediate fact checking. I love it.
I love it. On the fly.
And he gets his Blues tickets.
Real time. Yeah, he's a nice guy. He's a good guy.
He's setting the bar high for producer role.
I know he is, right? And he has to maintain this.
Right.
He can't do this stuff and then just like slack off. He'll be expecting it every now and then. No,
Is he
you're not getting fired soon, Austin.
Depends on if there are city tickets sometime this summer.
Ooh, yeah. Does your family have season tickets to City too? Take those. He says no. All right. Okay.
Well,
so
then maybe.
maybe. Over the weekend, I did go. I did try and go to the pitch.
Yeah.
Last weekend, and it was like Amy and I got there 2.5 hours before the start of the soccer game, and it was closed for a private event up until the start of the game. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me! And it was cold outside, and we had parked a couple blocks away on the street, found a good parking. Union Station, $45 to park at Union Station, $45, and I'm like, Amy, I will walk 5 miles to not pay $45 just out of principle. That is an insane $45.
That's
the park.
God. When I saw you tweet that, I was like, man, I'm glad I didn't decide to try to go join you. But
well, we didn't park there. We parked a couple blocks away on the street for like $4, in a meter.
Yeah.
Until 7, or we paid until 7, whatever the time it ran out. But and so we walked like 2 blocks. It wasn't bad at all. Well worth not paying $45. So that's a lot of beer. You can buy like 8 beers for that.
If you couldn't get into the pitch, where'd you wind up?
Well, Maggie O'Brien's across the street. There's a line out this door and down the sidewalk, so we couldn't go there. We drove by Schlafly Tap House, and that was packed. We decided to maybe go. Cyberg's was packed. We decided, obviously, they're right next door. We decided to try Bally Sports Live over Cardinals Nation, to go over there and watch on the big screen. There were no spaces in the parking lot.
We're not a sports town. We're not a sports town.
Everywhere we went, it was jam packed, and I wanted to go to a sports bar, right? A place where they would have maybe the audio on too for the game, the soccer game. So every place was packed, and it was a while before the game started. So we drove around for a while, and then we decided, you know what? Let's just go back across the river, back to Illinois. There's a new sports bar, the Epic. Heard about that, Bill? Over by Enclave Apartments.
Yeah.
In Woodsville.
Yep.
All right. Pretty new. So we decided to go there. Went there. Bartender says, this sounds like a joke. We walked in the front door. Bartender says, well, you guys come in to watch a certain game? And I said, yeah, we're going to watch, we like to watch City play, St. Louis City. He was okay. I said, but it doesn't start for half an hour. He was okay. So we get a beer and we're hanging out. And then he asked what channel the game was on. And I said, it's on Apple TV. And he goes, oh, we don't get that. And I'm like, oh, you mother. I told, and this was like 5-10 minutes before the game was supposed to start. So I'm like, well, shit. So we went back to my house and watched the game at my house. We drove around St. Louis for, walked around for a while. It was cold. And just ended up watching it back at my house, which was fine. It was fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I was in U City. We went to a concert, and so I was planning on watching the game Sunday morning when we got home. I was able to stay off social media and avoid any updates, and so I was super surprised when I woke up. Totally thought there's no way they're going to go 3-8 or 4-0, and totally blown away by it. Unfortunately, there was a glitch with the MLS package, and they did not have the full game, so I just got to watch the recap. They didn't post a full game until like late Sunday night.
Really?
So yeah,
well, that sucks. Because we came back home and we started watching it when it was about almost half over, I guess. Came home, made something to eat, and then we turned it on. We were behind, so I was off the grid. So I wouldn't get
behind
scores.
As in the timeline of the game,
right?
Because St. Louis City hasn't been behind since the first game.
What I'm saying is that the game was almost half over, and that's when I started watching it. So I was watching it delayed.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks that it wasn't available. So did you watch it?
I lived with the recap. They had the recap was on there, so I was able to see it. And another beautiful Klaus goal, and
that was a good game. Another good game.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking. I know Julie doesn't really listen to the show, so I can say this here, but we're supposed to go to another concert this Saturday night, and I'm thinking I might try to back out of that and stay home and watch the game.
You haven't watched too many of them live, have you?
No, I'm Saturday nights.
You're like
Saturday nights are
the
busy.
biggest soccer fan that I
Right.
know, and you're the one who hasn't really seen too many live games.
Right. But Saturday and Sunday mornings my sweet spot for watching soccer. Right, it's kind of why I started watching Premier League back 10 years ago, whatever it was, and yeah, so it's kind of a natural fit for me to watch it on Sunday morning. But I think this weekend I kind of want to watch it and see if they can go 5-0.
Now I'm looking forward to them playing Sporting KC after the
God,
the whole podcast thing. I don't want to get into it too much, but they basically had to send a cease and desist to a St. Louis podcast that called themselves the Soccer Capital Podcast, and the Sporting KC apparently owns that name, and so they went after a fan podcast in St. Louis, made them shut it down, threatened lawsuit. It was so, and the whole soccer community across the nation is like, oh, the podcasters are kind of pissed off at Sporting KC for doing that. So Ken Morris did say that $45 US dollars is $61.51 Canadian. That would buy him a pair of dress pants and a sport coat at TJ Maxx. Yeah, $45 will buy you a lot of shit. And I was not going to pay that to park. I would feel violated if I had paid that. And then Amy chimes in and says, it was an adventure. It was. And I felt bad for her because it was cold. We're walking around, she gets cold easy. All right. Binnington's 2-game suspension. That happened. This was at a game that my daughter and I were at last week. Couldn't have picked a better game. Probably the most entertaining game, or most entertaining period or moment this season happened against the Wild last Wednesday in St. Louis. It turned into an amazing atmosphere.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Things got crazy. So in this game, it kind of started when Binnington cup checked. I saw this earlier in the game. Binnington cup checked a Wild player early in the game in a goal mouth scrum. They put it on the board in the replay, and I said, "Oh, he got somebody in the junk with his stick." And and Bill can attest as a goalie. How many times do you think you cup checked a guy, Bill? How many times? If you take a guess.
In one game?
Are we talking like triple digits in your career?
Oh, easy triples.
4 digits?
No.
Right.
No. My had I played to this day, it would be in the probably in the 4s. Maybe in the 5s. I don't know. Somebody probably would have taken my head off eventually, but
well, for those not familiar with what a cup check is, it's when you take your stick and you put it between another player's legs and you just come up with it. You kind of bop them from underneath, right?
Yeah.
With the stick or the blade. Basically checking to see if they have a cup, right?
Right. That's why it's called a cup check.
Cup check. I've done it a lot. I've told the story before that I cup checked a guy one time. He was going to the corner. I was following him in, and I had my stick and I cup checked him, and the toe of the blade came up first, and all I felt was pubic bone when I hit. It like reverberated my stick, and he crumpled to the ice and I no penalty, and I felt bad for like a second, and it wasn't cool. I mean, I was that was back in the day.
Yeah, no, it's like if you want to see if you're still not sure what we're talking about, just Google Patrick Waugh, Dino Cicerelli.
Yeah,
that is my favorite. Like he does it to him. Cicerelli turns around, threatens to punch him.
Yeah,
turns around, he does it again.
Yeah.
That was one of my all-time favorite
goalie,
being a dick moments.
Right, but and what did you think of Patrick Waugh after he did that? What did you think he was? whining, crying, being a dirty little bitch, hateful guy. It's hockey, right? It was hockey.
No,
It was hockey.
it is exactly that. It is hockey, right? And
If you don't like it, get the fuck out.
Right. It was a goalie getting into a guy's head.
Yeah.
Right. And that's that's part of the gig.
So anyway, Binnington did cup check a guy, and nothing. There was no call. They showed the little scrum, and nothing major, just pushing, shoving in front of the goal. And I saw it. And I'm like, oh, he got him. And it turns out after the game, that we found out that the whole bench had found out that he had cup checked somebody. So, and that was in Fleury's mind later on when the brouhaha happened. So you fast forward to later in the game, in the second period, Blues had a 3-1 lead. Minnesota came back to tie at 3, and the Blues went up 4-3. Then Minnesota scored twice more to take a 5-4 lead. Their fourth goal of the period, they go on to score a fifth in the second. Ryan Hartman scored their fifth goal, or their fourth goal, whatever it was. After scoring, he kind of cruised through the top of the crease, just outside the top of the crease. Binnington had kind of slid out and was turning after trying to make the save as like a momentum thing after trying to make the save. And Hartman collides with Binnington. Binnington doesn't really see it head on. It kind of hit him from behind. He thinks it's on purpose based on the kind of player that, Hartman is and how Binnington knows how he plays. So he felt it was intentional. So he jumps up, goes into the celebration scrum after the goal, and with his stick in his blocker hand, just right in Hartman's visor, his face, gives him a punch in the face. So, and that kind of started some crap. The linesman comes in and grabs Binnington. Fleury sees it, knows that Binnington had cup checked a guy earlier in the game. He's like, he's my guy. I got to go down there and take him. And for those familiar with the old days of bench clearing brawls, when goalies would get into it, when a goalie got into it, the other goalie's responsibility was to come down there and take the goalie, because if everyone's paired off, you're outnumbered, right? So the one team has an extra guy with the goalie who's in the scrum. So the other goalie comes down and takes the goalie. That's where goalie fights stemmed from. Two goalies be going at it sometimes back in the day. You don't see it much anymore. But,
well, except for Tim Shovelday, but that's another story.
Yeah, here comes Shovelday, right? That was still at the tail end of when that would happen once in a while.
Right?
But so Fleury wants to go with Binnington. Binnington is tied up by the linesman. I have his name here. What's the linesman's name? He's grabbed by David Brisebois. Linesman David Brisebois, number 96.
So boo that man.
Yeah,
boo that man.
He made the fallout from this worse than it would have been had they fought. If they had fought, there'd be a lot less people talking badly about Binnington than there were. Because, there still would be, but they would have gotten their fight, right? They would have gotten a chance for retribution against Binnington.
Right. And not only that, Binnington would have got his fight. Right. That's what
Fleury too. Fleury wanted to fight.
Yeah, but Binnington, it feels like his career is like the career trajectory is leading to a point where he finally gets a fight with another goalie, and we got denied that. And so that itch is still going to be there. It's going to happen again.
Yeah, eventually, it's going to happen. Just the way Binnington is, and how he likes to stir things up a little bit. So eventually it's going to happen. Fleury wanted to fight. Binnington wanted to fight. Linesman wouldn't let him go. I thought Fleury had a chance to get in there and grab Binnington while he was tied up with the linesman. He went up and he reached out and he pulled back. I thought if Fleury had actually grabbed onto Binnington and they started to tussle, maybe the linesman lets him go. Like let's go. But Fleury didn't. He kind of backed off a little bit, waiting to see if Binnington was going to be let go by the linesman. And then the other linesman came in and got Fleury, and then it wasn't going to happen. Linesman was Fleury was mic'd up for this. Yeah. Did you hear that? He just he was funny.
Yeah. Of course I did, because I follow Alan Walsh, his agent, and of course that was tweeted out very quickly. What I didn't like was, so many people on Twitter saying, Fleury would have beat Binnington's ass. You can't say that. You don't know what the result is, and I'm telling you, I think Biddy takes that fight.
I do too.
Right?
I do too.
And so many things.
He's not Ray Emery.
Right.
Fleury is not Ray Emery.
Right. And
Rest in peace.
Neither is Binnington. But
no.
Brisebois' actions there, like so many opportunity costs. We didn't know. We didn't get to learn. Will this change the trajectory of Binnington's career? Will this have scratched the itch and he doesn't need to fight anymore? Right? Would this have made him an even more, hated person had he knocked Fleury out? Right? Had they gotten to a fight and knocked Fleury out? Fleury is the most beloved goalie in the NHL.
Yeah.
Like league-wise right now, right? And he's about to beat Patrick Roy, which is me as a Patrick Roy fan, right? He's about to overtake him for career wins. Say Binnington knocks him out, and that doesn't happen, right? He's got a concussion, has to retire. I'm not wishing that. Marc-Andre Fleury, like I've gotten to see him his entire career. And he is a hell of a goalie, right? He's ups and downs, Stanley Cups, different teams. Total respect for the guy. But, man, can you imagine if that happens, right? What Jordan Binnington knocks out a guy right before he passes Patrick Roy on the all-time wins list, right? And then Binnington's getting run every fucking game he plays.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and proclaim that I know what was going to happen in the fight, but yeah, there to say for people to, and I saw what you did, for people to say that, oh, Fleury wins that fight. There's no justification for that opinion at all. So, and I think what is it? Matt Harris was up on the screen there. Binnington has COD teenager rage. I think he could have ended that old man's life. Binnington has the crazy on his side, right? For that. And Fleury, I mean, and Fleury didn't seem pissed off, because when he was mic'd up, he was like just kind of cracking a couple of jokes, about wanting to get my fight in. I get my fight.
It's right. It seemed like he was going down there because he was mic'd up.
He might have been. Oh, it was a perfect scenario with him being mic'd up for the hockey world, because Binnington's one of the most hated players in the NHL, and so everybody that hates him wanted to see this fight. They wanted to see Fleury try and take him out. And then the Binnington supporters, they wanted Binnington to get this fight to get these critics off of his back. He never wants to fight. He always hides behind the linesman, and who doesn't love a goalie fight anyway? So yeah, and the linesman just totally fucked this all up. And with Fleury being mic'd up, that would have been on every video compilation highlight for the NHL for decades.
Stephen A. Smith would have had a segment about it.
Oh my God. And Binnington's a twig. He is not a big guy. So, but neither is Fleury.
Yeah.
So it would have been two lightweights going at it. Right.
Right.
So
it
would have been great.
Ken just said, right? Binnington fighting most other goalies would be like a middleweight going up against a heavyweight, but not Fleury.
Not Fleury,
like, that's
right?
a pretty even match size wise,
right? And
rage wise, Benny's totally got that.
Oh, it's not even close.
Benny's throwing some Sopranos, up and coming hitman energy, right? That seems to be like like that. His dress and his hair, he totally fit into that scene.
Fleury's older, and Fleury's never been in a NHL fight. I don't know if he's been in a fight before he made the NHL.
Yeah,
and he made it right after the draft, didn't he? He didn't spend any time in the AHL, so
he went straight from the queue to the bigs.
Yeah, he fought in the queue. I don't know, but Binnington has fought before, so he had that on his side too. He fought in the AHL. So everyone was screaming in the crowd. The atmosphere was unbelievable. And basically yelling, let him go. I mean, like like pleading with the linesman, let him go. Oh my God. And I looked at my daughter. My daughter is 13 years old, and I was yelling, let him go. I turn and look at her, and she's screaming at the top of her lungs, let him fight, let him fight. And I'm like, why would you break this up? I know that they're supposed to break it up. That's what they're supposed to do. They're not supposed to let goalies fight if they can help it. But oh my God, read the room, dude. I mean, it's Binnington.
Right.
You have to let him fight.
Everybody wants this.
Everybody
wants
it. Would have been. I mean, it would be on. He's the most talked about player whenever he does anything. Whenever he, shoves a guy, mouths off, trips a bench, whatever, pisses somebody off. The whole hockey world is like he lives in everyone's domes, and so the little things he does, everyone talks about it nonstop. And then if this would have happened, the hockey world would have helped hockey.
Yeah. Yeah. So Binnington gets a suspension out of the whole thing.
Yeah. There was a huge delay after the thing too. They didn't start play back up for a while.
Right.
I'm not sure what the deal was. They escorted Binnington off. He was kicked out of the game. And it took him a while to get play started again. But then he gets the ejection. Fleury gets a penalty for leaving the crease.
Right.
Binnington got a penalty for leaving the crease too.
Yeah, but that's like kind of the most asinine by the book call ever. He was outside of his crease when he got hit. He was still outside of his crease when he punched him. Right. But it was a match penalty, intent to injure, right? Wasn't that the call on the ice?
Yeah,
for punching in with the blocker.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it was intent to injure. I guess that's what they're going to classify it as. But yeah, anytime you punch by the blocker, you're gonna that's a well. But okay, I'll say this: that when I saw him leave the crease and go into the scrum and punch the guy with the blocker, I thought, oh, that's bad news.
Yeah,
but you see goalies use that blocker and punch when they're in their crease to create space. I've seen goalies like jab at guys' backs of the head. Not often, but I've seen it every now and then. They use that to clear space and to hit forwards who might be in their area, in their crease. And you don't see goalies get penalties, kicked out of the game for that. It just so happens that he left the crease into a goal celebration scrum and went in with this. And you mentioned before the show, he had a stick in his hand. That makes a big difference.
Right.
So,
no, and I think had he dropped the stick, he might actually be able to escape from suspension, right? Because he doesn't make contact with the flat edge of the blocker, right? Which is what I told you at Austin, before the show. I've used that before, right? And that is when you're pissed off and you're trying to inflict damage, right? I'll have to check your cousin Jeff's memory on this, but I seem to recall getting a 5-minute major for punching a guy with my blocker, but not the fist part, the edge of the blocker,
the waffle
right?
board,
the waffle board,
yeah.
And that there is, you're only trying to inflict harm when you do that, right?
Sure, but I've seen goalies do it,
right.
And I think if you're in your crease and there's a guy up on you, and you punch him, even with the waffle board, maybe not. I mean, like somewhere,
right.
You're not getting kicked out of the game for that.
Right.
But he left the crease, instigated it. Well, Binnington will tell you otherwise that it was instigated when he was run into. But
right.
George Washington in the YouTube chat says the delay was the refs reviewing the call to confirm it was a match major.
That's true.
That makes complete sense. I was at the game, so we weren't told jack squat about why the delay was going on. That makes complete sense. It did seem like it took a long time to review it, though. It did, you look at it once, like, yeah. I mean, he punched him with the blocker, so it is what it is. So the Blues ended up losing this game 8-5 in disappointing fashion. The most disappointing part of this game for me was the way the Blues came out in the third period. They came out flat after a crazy, energized second period. Well, and after the whole ruckus happened, Minnesota scores they allow a breakaway to who was it? Who scored on the breakaway? You were upset that it was that he scored on a breakaway?
It was Alex Goligoski,
Yes,
right? The
Goligoski.
defenseman, right?
Right.
And he plays to the crowd, like he does the mockery of Jordan Binnington.
Mhm.
Like the fact that he skated off the ice on his own power by the time this game ended tells me that I think there are a lot of Blues players that are like, fuck Benny. Right? The antics went too far tonight.
Well, it's funny because I think, was it Falk didn't really jump in like expected on that play either. I think I'm thinking a different play.
Well, Shen got in Hartman's face.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
and I think this is
Yes.
this is the part that I thought diffused everything, and nobody was willing to try. Nobody was willing to even throw a hit after they gave Shen 10 for getting in Hartman's face and telling him, I'm going to fuck you up.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the part of the game that I hate the most. Right. Shen, as the de facto captain of this team, getting in Hartman's face and challenging him, the linesmen, or I'm sorry, the refs at this point, and it was Kelly Sutherland, who I used to love, right? Kelly Sutherland was the guy that we all got to hear on tape tells, I forget who it was, for the Islanders back in the day when Brodeur played for us, and they tapped him behind the goal and got his ass kicked. And he said, you have to pay the Marty tax, right? I loved that moment with Kelly Sutherland, but he fucking clamped down on this game, and that call on Shen totally took all of the energy out of the game.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of excessive calls to try and prevent future actions. That I don't like that. Call what happens. You're not trying as an official. I guess you feel like you might have some responsibility to keep control of a game, but I don't think that game was in danger of being out of control. I just think we had that one moment, and then we had Shen wanting to challenge a guy who ran into his goalie, which you see that kind of thing. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a fan of the preemptive stuff to try and ward off something worse, which may or may not happen.
Right. It was very disappointing. As I don't want to come off as, one of the people that is aggrandizing the brutality that used to exist in the game. But when the players were able to respond and make amends and pay retribution, I'm not saying I think the NHL did have a culture change after Todd Bertuzzi, and it needed to, right? That was over the line, but there needs to still be that element in the game. And Shen getting in Hartman's face, telling him you're going to pay for that, right, doesn't deserve a 10-minute misconduct.
No.
And
I agree.
Yeah.
Blues lost this game 8-5. Whimper in the third, but not a lot of a lot of non-Blues fans obviously hate Jordan Binnington. So I think, is the Jordan Binnington hate warranted? I mean, I okay, not hate, but I understand why he's hated. But you know how people are. It's almost like they don't understand the situation. Like they'll use the wrong words to describe what Binnington is doing, calling him a crybaby, a whiner, a complainer, can't handle situations, so he just attacks people. Those aren't the right words and to what's going on. I think, I think Gary Bettman's move to take fighting out of the game and to take a lot of the extracurricular stuff out of the game has been going on now for 25 years. And I think a lot of new fans don't quite understand or get the way the NHL used to be. And when that kind of play pops up, with, what Binnington did, or goalie fights or scrums after a goal or whatever, I don't think fans know how to handle it. They don't know. They think it's something obscene or not part of the game, which it hasn't been a big part of the game for a while. But personally, I'd like it to still be there under the surface, like to rise up every once in a while to remind people, hey, this is still hockey. This stuff can still happen. I don't know. I think a lot of new fans, they'll see stuff like this and they won't understand that this is kind of how things used to be. Stuff like this happened a lot, with extracurricular stuff after the whistle, bench clearing brawls, goalie fights, and people get so upset and so offended by what Binnington does. And if in 30 years ago, what he's done today wouldn't bat anybody's eye, and back then it was just part of the game. Probably not as bad as what most people did back then. So I just think people just don't understand. I blame Bettman for that, because if you've been a fan, if you became a fan at any point in the last 25 years, unless you've seen old clips, which I'm sure they have, but if you didn't experience it and live it day to day, you didn't understand. You don't understand like old style hockey, old time hockey. It's just
Right.
It's not. You won't understand Slapshot. The movie Slapshot would be like foreign to you.
Right. I mean, some of Slapshot, like the first time the Hansons take the ice, right?
It's all over the top,
right?
Right.
It's all very much over the top.
Sure.
But as a kid who grew up going to games at the Checkerdome and seeing bench clearing brawls, Al Secord with the Blackhawks getting into a brawl with the Blues, getting tossed, and standing at the entrance to the Zamboni gate, flipping the bird to the entire audience, right? Those kinds of crazy games happened all the time in the days of the Chuck Norris division, right?
People loved it.
Right. And there I do think that there's a point, like I said before, when the Todd Bertuzzi incident happened, there needed to be some change, but you can still, and people still do argue that the Bertuzzi, taking his retribution on Steve Moore was impacted by them not being allowed to fight during the game that Steve Moore hit Marcus Naslund, right? So it had this build up into the next meeting. But what Bertuzzi did was way over the top, and there is no room in hockey for that. We can't make arguments that there's room for hockey in that. But sometimes what you need to do is to let it happen on the ice in the moment, and that doesn't happen in the NHL.
Matt Harris said
2023.
Matt Harris said it's not just Bettman though. The Q just implemented new fighting rules. And they
banned it, right?
Well, starting next season, right?
Right, starting next season.
Yeah,
fighting is banned.
Yeah, which is not gonna. Whatever.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do if you've got somebody of Zach Bolduc's caliber in the queue and he gets into a fight? You're gonna throw him out of the league, right? Well, how far are you gonna go to enforce that?
Well, I mean, okay, fighting. What is the penalty? You're kicked out of the game. Is that because? I would
assume
because fighting
probably a suspension.
Okay, because fighting is against the rules in the NHL. You get penalized for it. It's not like you can just fight and just have no repercussions, right? There's a 5-minute penalty for fighting, so it's against the rules,
right? Unless you're Brett Hull and Dave Gagne, you drop the gloves and throw. This is one of my favorite moments of the late 80s, early 90s Blues stars. Brett Hull, Dave Gagne, both dropped the gloves, threw haymakers at each other, and got 2 for roughing.
Matt Harris says, or Ken Morris says, there would have been no Broad Street Bullies if it were not for Noel Picard, Bob Billy, and Barclay Plager. And that, that was a fantastic era, because the St. Louis Blues created the Broad Street Bullies, an iconic team in the NHL. The Philadelphia Flyers became the Broad Street Bullies because they were getting pushed around by the Blues, and their GM was like, "Nope, no more. We're getting tougher." And then that's when they built the Broad Street Bullies to deal with the St. Louis Blues. George Washington says Quebec government apparently made the fighting ban a condition of the financial support it gave to the Q during the pandemic. Huh. I haven't read up on I saw the headline and I saw a brief discussion about it. I didn't look in the details as far as why they're doing it.
Didn't do a deep analysis. Just assume they're all a bunch of pussies.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. But is anybody surprised? I don't like it, but are you surprised? It's the way things have been going and trending over the past 3 decades, slowly. It's a wonder Ryan Reeves still has a job.
Hey, he's more than just a fighter, though.
I know he could always play. He can always skate.
Yeah.
Tony Twist would not have a job today.
And I mean, the day he was told he no longer had a job with the Blues, he went out and got in a motorcycle accident, right?
Yep. Yeah, Twist was a terrible skater. He was a terrible skater. He was a terrible hockey player. He was the best fighter in the league when he was playing, and that's why he was in the league. Period. That was it.
Yeah, and that was the end of the true enforcer era.
Mm-hmm. Why is it that people are saying it would be okay to act the way Binnington does if he were putting up stellar numbers this season and the team was winning? Have you seen that argument? That because people bring up Billy Smith, Patrick Waugh, Ed Belfour, Ron Hextall, et cetera, they've all been brought up when discussing Binnington, and because people say, well, these goalies did this back in the day, and people loved it. They didn't, they weren't like calling for an end to this, but people say, well, Binnington's not as good as Billy Smith, Patrick Waugh, Ed Belfour, Ron Hextall, and I'm like, well, why does it make a difference how good you are? You know what I mean? So the better you are, the more liberties you get. I thought that was a bad thing. That star players got special treatment.
Right. And out of those three guys, Ron Hextall, right? He as a rookie, he had an amazing year. 1987, took an unexpected Flyers team all the way to the finals, only to get beat by the Oilers. And his antics were something. He got suspended going into the following year because of that slash on Kent Nilsson. But he's out of those three guys. I think if I'm going to put Binnington, at peer to peer with somebody, it'd be him, right? He had an amazing rookie year, brought this team. He was a successful goalie. He was a slightly above average goalie. But he did, he's famous for scoring the goal, right? He's the first goalie to do it.
Right.
And we saw Casey who is it? Tristan Jarry. Tonight we saw him try twice and miss by 15 feet. He's no Carl Lindbaum's Carl Lindbaum. But Hexy was, and if you guys want to do like a deep dive into goalies, there's a great podcast that I think it was The Score put out a series when goalies were weird, and they deep dive on Patrick Waugh, Ed Belfour, Curtis Joseph, and Hexy. Great episodes. Go find it. Wherever you're listening to this on the podcast, you can find it there. But they did a great deep dive on it. And like I was saying, Hexy, Hexy and Benny, I think, are the two guys that are closest, if we could peer them. I don't get I agree with you. I don't get why you have to say, look what, if he was better, if he was putting up better numbers.
Yeah.
Right. That's just, it seems like a dumb argument.
Yeah, it's like you don't have any bullets in your gun, so you just throw the gun and you just make up something stupid. And Whenever I hear that said, that doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not sure I understand what you're saying, but I don't think it makes any sense. It doesn't apply. It's just like you were just reaching for something. So anyway, Binnington gets suspended for 2 games for that, for his actions on the ice. Joel Hofer is called up due to Binnington's suspension. So more on that and other Blues news on the other side of this break from our amazing sponsors. You are listening to Kurt and Bill on Let's Go Blues Radio.
We'll return after these messages.
Every beer league hockey night, I grab my hockey bag and sticks and throw them in the trunk of my car. And the very next thing I do, I mix up a boost of energy courtesy of RockinThatIDLife.com. It's formulated to break up its delivery in 3 ways, which helps me get through all 3 periods of hockey. Phase 1 provides a rapid onset of energy, concentration, alertness, and motivation. By period 2, I'm receiving a dose of sustained energy, increased focus, metabolism, cognitive function, performance, and feelings of well-being, which I need with the way I play. In Phase 3, I'm getting fatigue protection without jitters and crash, an elevated mood, and a reduction of fluid retention to help me make the big play when it counts. This same triphasic approach helps me when I drink it during work hours or simply just for a pick-me-up when I need it. Try one of the 4 energy flavors by visiting RockinThatIDLife.com, but make sure to email Dustin at RockinThatIDLife@gmail.com and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you to receive an additional 10% off your order. That's RockinThatIDLife.com.
Center Ice Brewery is a beer lover's dream for hockey fans. Based in St. Louis, Missouri, owner Steve Albers has been brewing hockey-themed favorites for thirsty sports fans since 2017. From the Beauty IPA to the Old Arena Lager, a cold, frosty, hockey-themed beer is just what the doctor ordered for hockey fans in St. Louis. Make sure to check your local beer store for Center Ice Brewery beer today. LGB. Let's go beer.
During the magical 2019 playoff run, I was in the midst of buying my current home. Every time I spoke with my realtor, obviously, home buying was the discussion. But in the back of my mind, I couldn't stop thinking about what was destined to happen for our St. Louis hockey team. If only there were a realtor who could have walked me through the process, held my hand when needed, but was there to be a sounding board when I wanted to complain about a certain hand pass goal. Let realtor Mike Burgoyne with Rio Brokerage be that for you. He'll have your needs top of mind as he skates you through the home buying or selling process, dangling you past any obstacles and assisting on all your home goals. Check out strikewithmike.com for more information or give him a call directly at 314-753-4060. That's Mike Burgoyne with Rio Brokerage at strikewithmike.com, and that number again is 314-753-4060. Don't forget to tell Mike that Let's Go Blues Radio sent you.
And now, back to Let's Go Blues Radio, the longest running St. Louis Blues podcast with Price, Ponder, and Day.
Austin and I played RPS, rock, paper, scissors, in the break, and I threw rock, he threw paper. Who the fuck throws paper on the first go? It's a pussy throws paper on the first go.
Somebody who's been studying tape.
Anyway, after I saw him throw paper, I'm like, we're not doing best out of 3. I can't play with you. Go paper on the first throw. Jeez. Everyone knows you go scissors. That's why I went rock. Or at least go rock and we'll tie. Joel Hofer was called up from Springfield due to the suspension to Binnington. He got the start versus Washington on Friday. Played very well. The Blues 5-2 win. Did it surprise you, Bill, that Hofer got the start and didn't back up Grice right away? I know some folks on the social media, our friends over at the 2 Guys 1 Cup, they said they wanted to see him. They didn't want to see him play behind this defense.
No.
They thought they might damage him mentally.
No. It's a win-win situation. You start him, he crumbles behind this team. Behind the defense, we lose points, we get a better draft position, win, right? You start him, he beats Alex Ovechkin in his first start of this season, right? It's not his first start of his career.
Right.
And he gets confidence, and you've got a confident goalie, right? And I totally didn't get Steven's argument, that not wanting to see him play. I was hoping that Thomas Greiss got the Chad Johnson treatment midseason. I've not felt good with him. And I don't want to get too far off track, but fast forward to the next game, and Hofer's tossed in a shutout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then his skate breaks. And he has to come out. I was scared shitless that Greiss was going to give up a goal.
I know, right?
Every time the puck went at that net, that's going off somebody and in the net. I have zero confidence in Thomas Greiss.
Well,
right?
When he came in for Binnington after Binnington got the boot against Minnesota, he allowed the first shot on the breakaway through his legs.
To fucking Alex Goligoski.
Yeah.
Right? A defenseman, right?
Yeah. So before this season, Hofer had played 2 prior NHL games, both starts. He was 1-1 prior to the season. Allowed 6 goals, made 44 saves and 44 saves on 50 shots against, 880 save percentage, 3.07 goals against average, 117 minutes, 3.07 GAA. I said that. Looked really good against Washington. He allowed 1 goal on the power play, and one was on 5-on-5. So, and the 5-on-5 goal was a great pass backdoor, which is a goal Binnington has seen go in often this season. Bushnevich loses his man, and he's wide open backdoor for the goal. Hofer did get the number 1 star in this game. He was very good, and I was very pleased with that first start. You know what? And after 2019, when Binnington gets called up and he goes on that tear and he's amazing, and you're early on when he was in net, you're just waiting for the other shoe to fall and him to come back down to earth, right? And it just didn't really happen that year.
Right.
And so now kind of in the same boat with Hofer, where he comes up, he's played 3 games now. He's played really well in each game. And I assume he's not going to get the next start. I assume Binnington will start in goal since he'll be back. But
if Greiss gets another fucking minute for this team, I'll be upset unless there's an injury.
Yeah, and that's why this goes back to the trade deadline, and maybe that would have been a bit early, but that's why we kind of talked about maybe just trading Greiss for anything. If somebody wanted a backup, just for anything, just and then call up Hofer.
8th round pick.
Yeah.
The 8th round doesn't exist.
7th rounder. But and then to call up Hofer and get him a handful of starts to get his feet wet for next season, when he, in all likelihood, will be the backup next season. So either way, I mean, Greiss is still here, so whatever. So we're carrying 3 goalies right now. Yeah, I was very happy. Blues were outshot 34-17 in this game. The team didn't play great. We got goals from Kapanen, Walker, and Vrana. How great has Vrana been?
Oh my God! Right, the perfect change of scenery, kind of player. Right? He went to Detroit, and just it wasn't a good fit. He was having some personal issues. Went into the league's player assistance program. The story that I heard was, they tried, this is Kevin Allen, on the, in between second period last night, Kevin Allen gave an interview with Ben Ferrario, Alex Ferrario on 101. And he said that, when he came back from the player assistance program, they asked him to try to change his game. Right, because the question was, what is how high is his defense? His defensive liability. And Kevin Allen said high, and Detroit tried to change that when he came back from his from the player assistance program. They told him, let's try to change your game too, and it wasn't working. So, they figured he'd be a good change of scenery kind of guy. And the Blues are the one that took the risk to take him. And damn, it's paying off.
Two things stick out with him for me is his speed and he shoots. I mean, he's what is it? Verona, let's look at his numbers here. He's got 28 shots in, what was it, 8 games for the Blues?
Yeah.
He's shooting.
Right.
So, I mean, that's 3 less shots than Nathan Walker has in 44 games. So yeah, let's see on the team. He's down there in shots per game, but I mean, he has as many as Alexandrov. And Alexandrov's played 28 games. Neighbors has played 31 games, has 37 shots. So he shoots, and there's something to be said for that. You just pepper. You take, and they're good. He's getting good shots. He could have had a couple more goals last night.
Yeah. Offensively, the guy is dynamic. Right, he's driving offense. He's driving, with those kind of shot numbers. I'm sure he's driving possession, because that's what drives those numbers. He's looked very good on the offensive side of the puck. So, with the Blues next year, what I expect is going to be a massive retooling, new structure on the back end to try to address all the deficiency. How much they're going to rely on the forwards is going to tell me how much he is going to play into their plans, right? This is kind of the throwaway part of this season. Let him do what he's going to do. Let him get his confidence back, play his game, and not worry so much on the defensive end. And, see what happens. Next year is going to be a different story, I think.
Yep.
And if we have a structure that supports a player like him, God damn, I want him here. I want him, like, he's brought an element that this team just hasn't had.
Well, he's here next year, and Detroit's paying half of his salary. So that's pretty cool. The thing with him, I think, is going to be consistency, right? I mean, he's going to just whether or not he can maintain it. Because, like you said, he's got the skills, he's got the tools, and he's shown flashes of it in the NHL. But it's just hopefully, like you said, change of scenery is what he needs. And this could be one of those really good Armstrong depth moves. And it's about time we stick it to Yzerman, right, in a move to get the better of the deal.
Yeah, I mean, that's a nice narrative, but Yzerman even has said that he felt like Verona needed that change. So
and even so, I mean,
right.
Regardless, it would be nice to get the better end of the deal on a trade with Yzerman, because I don't think we've come out looking too good the past 2 or 3.
Well, it wasn't even a trade though; it was a waiver pickup, wasn't it? Was it? No. Kapanen was the waiver.
Kapanen was waiver pickup. Verona was the trade. Right. We had a 7th rounder, right, for Verona, and they retained half his salary.
Yeah, which is
bonkers, because you think if they're retaining half the salary, they get a better pick,
right?
But I think it was 7th round pick. Yeah. So
Winnipeg, we'll give you Thomas Greiss back. And we calls it evens.
Right. So the let's see, the Blues, they played Winnipeg. Where am I at here on the outline? The Washington game, Winnipeg. The Blues did beat Winnipeg. This was Hofer's 3-0 shutout. Winnipeg fans were upset at the Jets' effort in this game, even though they outshot the Blues 34-17, and Money Puck had the Jets deserving to win the game. In their 1,000 game simulations, the Jets did win 73.8% of those games. So they outplayed the Blues, and Hofer got the number 1 star again. First 2 starts this season, gets the number 1 star in both games. Chris Kerber got the call on the TV play-by-play for this game, as Kelly was reportedly out with COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was Kerbs announced that on the intro to the game. And the other side of the story is that Dan Kelly Jr. called the game on the radio. First NHL game in 15 years.
Wow.
I couldn't believe that.
He last called for Columbus, is that right?
Yeah. He was the inaugural play-by-play guy for the Blue Jackets.
Yep.
And I feel that was one of those things is like, yeah, I'm definitely old. If he hasn't called an NHL game in 15 years, he was still at DeSmet when I was playing for CBC. I think he might have been a senior in 93, but he was still playing for DeSmet. So I'm like, oh my God, if he hasn't been in his job that I knew him for 15 years, I'm old.
It was cool seeing here on Kerber on TV. I enjoyed that. He did a great job. So Hofer got the shutout in that game, earned another start, this time versus Detroit on Tuesday. Neighbors did return to lineup in this game. I thought he was invisible the first half of the game, and he was more into the play as the game went on. I thought he got better as the game went on. As far as being involved in the play,
right
in the offensive zone. But I wasn't quite paying attention. Didn't realize he was even in the game until about halfway through when I heard his name called. Oh, Neighbors is playing.
Yeah.
So that's not good when you're a forward and you're supposed to be producing, and some fans might not realize you're even playing until halfway through the game.
Yeah, but I don't want him going out there and throwing his body around and getting noticed coming off of a shoulder injury.
Yeah,
we have a history with problems with that on this team.
Shoulders? No, it's not so much a problem with players hurting their shoulders. It's just when they get hurt, it's fixing it. That's the problem.
Right. Go to Denver.
Perron, Walman, and Husso also. They made their return to St. Louis. Walman and Husso were recognized during a commercial break and got some applause from the fans. As a friend of the show, Tom Calhoun welcomed them back. And then Perron, the next commercial break, Perron got a 90-second video tribute later on in the first period. Bally's didn't air it. Not sure why. They probably should have come back, or they should have waited to. I don't know. They should have coordinated it to show it to the fans on TV.
101 did. I was listening to this in the radio. Thus the Kevin Allen tidbits from previous part. But I was listening. I was on my way home after picking up dinner and listening to it, and they missed maybe the first 5 seconds of it, but like hearing the video replay was just the moments that they played on the video tribute, and hearing Calhoun salute him, and then the description, Kerber's description of just how he was basically fighting back tears. Just amazing.
Really emotional for Perron. And you could tell, you could see it, that he said after the game he barely held it together.
Yeah.
Jeff Ponder was vocally pissed about them not showing the video tribute on Bally's. Does Ponder know that they have the video tribute on the website? You can watch it there. It's available. You can watch it. But I did. I watched on the website too. So it's available for those who are watching on TV and didn't get to see it. Go to the Blues website and you can see the video tribute. Complete with Perron trying to hold it together on the ice.
Yeah.
So
totally worth it.
Yeah, and again, not to beat a dead horse, but it does suck that it just didn't work out to bring him back. The team wanted to go a different direction. That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, the other unspoken part of this story is Robbie Fabry also back in the building, but as Robbie Fabry is wont to do, was on the injured list and in the press box.
That wasn't his first game back, though, right?
No, it was not.
I mean, it's been a while.
He's been back several times.
Yeah, I was going to say. Although he's been hurt a lot, so I wasn't quite sure if he's actually played in St. Louis.
Right. No, he's had at least one game here. I could have sworn. So
okay, well, with them being in the Eastern Conference, they're going to play here once a year. So
maybe not.
Maybe he hasn't.
Producer Austin.
Yeah. How many games is he wasn't paying attention? How many games has Robbie Fabry played in St. Louis since he's been with Detroit? I don't expect you to know this right away.
Yeah.
So Hofer didn't earn the number 1 star in this game, but he did get the number 3 star. Stopping 28 of 30 shots and playing very well again, only allowing 1 5-on-5 goal. The other was a power play goal against a backdoor play yet again where Parayko, and I feel like I've said this a lot this season, defensemen leaving coverage to cover areas where they're not covering anybody, and the player they were covering in coverage then scores right away.
Mhm.
It's like you leave your guy to go to an area where you're not covering anyone, like you're in between, right? And then the guy scores that you were covering. That happens so much. And Parayko did the exact same thing. It was in coverage. It was in coverage in front of the goal in the slot, top of the crease, and he left coverage but Saad was right there. Saad was with the puck carrier. So I don't know why he felt the need to go over there and leave his man. And he did, and the pass came across, and his man scores. And I was like, and I don't want to dog on Parayko too much because I think he's been much better lately. I've actually enjoyed Parayko's play. He's impressed me the past handful of games since the deadline, maybe a little before that. But this play was dog shit. Dog shit defensive play. I thought it was terrible. And this has been a microcosm. This has happened a lot for the Blues. Not just and Parayko. Krug's done this a ton this season. Letty's done this a ton this season. But again, that's not Letty's forte necessarily. Not to make excuses for him, but Parayko and Krug should know better.
We expect more of you boys.
They do. Letty's more of a transition guy, right? And Krug's the power play guy. Whatever. There's no excuse for Parayko. If he's not putting up points, you better damn well be responsible defensively on end. And he's struggled with that this year. The backdoor play on Hofer that scored that tied the game 2-2 in the first period. That was all the scoring until the shootout. Bertuzzo with a nice goal to start the Blues scoring. Jamie Rivers, did you hear what he called Bertuzzo, Bill, after he scored that goal?
Bobby Orr.
Bobby Ortuzzo.
Yeah, Bobby Ortuzzo.
That was great. I had never heard that before.
Yeah.
Has that been said before?
I don't think it. I definitely haven't heard it referred to as that, but yeah, the Bobby Orr backhander, right? That's how he scored.
Yeah, and he came in and he gave a little shake and bake and put it on goal in his backhand, and it went off something. Might have been the goalie. Might have been there was traffic in front, a bunch of it. But yeah, a nice little goal by Bertuzzo, his second goal of the season. John Kelly did return to the booth for the play-by-play for this game, and honestly, I'm going to say this not in a mean way, but he probably should have taken some more time off because
you could tell.
Well, whenever the Blues scored, it sounded like the other team scored because he wasn't elevating his voice. He wasn't acting excited. He was just talking. And I assume that's still because he's suffering from, effects from his illness. And I'm like, man, because there was one time in the game the Blues scored and I was like, did I see something? Did Detroit score? And what am I was confused because Kelly was not excited at all. So maybe it would have been better to give Kerber one more game. But either way, he sounded good otherwise, I thought, just during general play. So yeah, and Binnington is probably going to start, I would assume. They're not going to start Hofer 4 straight right after the loss in the shootout, probably. Binnington's back, probably give him a start. What do you think? Next game against Detroit? On Thursday?
Yeah, tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vinny's back in.
I think so.
Yeah, Vinny versus Husso, right? It was the battle of the backups last night. Magnus Hellberg, 6'7", hard to beat that.
Yeah.
I thought last time was a good goalie matchup, and I'm looking forward to that storyline tomorrow night.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. So Fanatics, the beloved company, the clothing company by fans worldwide. They just love Fanatics, right? Everyone loves them. Has announced that they'll be the NHL has announced that Fanatics will be the jersey manufacturer for the NHL for the starting in the 24-25 season. So not next season, but the following season. It's a 10-year deal. I think Adidas signed a 7-year deal.
Yeah, Doug Armstrong must have been behind this one.
Yeah, do they have a no trade clause? Like no movement clause? They can't. No trade because they wouldn't give them a no movement clause.
Yeah, no trade clause, but 10 years earned way too soon.
It's like 8 million, 7 million per, right? 6.5 per. They gave them term to lower the AAV. Fanatics has been slowly being given a bigger, has been acquiring a bigger role in the NHL. In 2018, Fanatics received the rights to Authentic Pro, making the practice wear for players, coaches, and staff. Basically, everything that they use when they're not in the actual game. The players, when you see them like in interviews and things, wearing the team logo shirts and hats and things, those are all made by Fanatics, apparently. But fans are generally upset about this, especially the jersey snobs, the folks who are overly picky about the jerseys, and their NHL fans are unique, I think, in that regard, as far as jerseys go. I don't think many of the sports are like that, where fans are very picky. See, I grew up in an era of these CCM replicas, which were not authentic. They were not just like the same material the players were on the ice or anything like that. They were cheaper. They were $40-$50. Man, you could get a CCM replica for $40 or $50. And that's what everyone wore. Everyone wore the CCM replicas back in the day.
Right. You could go to Champs or what was the non-mall store that you could get them at?
The non-mall?
The one that was over
Sports Authority?
Sports Authority.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. That was a great store.
Yeah.
Love a Sports Authority.
It was right next to your house.
It was at the time, yeah. I got many a replacement hockey blade there for my Easton aluminum.
Yeah.
So will the NHL jerseys look radically different in 24-25? Not according to the NHL and Fanatics. One of the reasons, Fanatics will use the same factory in, I can't pronounce this place's name, St. Hyacinth.
St. Hyacinth.
I would have gotten it. St. Hyacinth, Quebec.
Yeah, it is a suburb of Quebec City.
Okay.
Patrick Roy played for the Martin Brodeur played for the St. Hyacinth Laser of the Q in his junior days.
Same factory that Adidas uses. So the jerseys have very little variation from what they are today. The specs for the jerseys will be exactly the same. While there will be differences in some of the fabrics and materials, it will be almost indiscernible to the jerseys currently in use. And I think I've seen side-by-side comparisons to today's Fanatics jerseys, the replicas that they offer, and versus the authentics that Adidas has out there now. And there are color differences and they're not the same.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. But we're also comparing authentic jerseys to replicas or whatever they call the Fanatics line of jerseys versus the high-end Adidas ones. So they're obviously going to be different. And that's never not been the case. Back in the day, the CCM replicas were not identical to what the players wore, rarely. So the reverse retros are going away. No more reverse retros after this season. So what a shame. And they said even I think thirds are going away.
And for a couple of years, right? There's too much revenue to be made in these things, right?
I'm sure.
So
I'm wondering why that is.
So the first couple of years, it's going to be, well, now you have to get a Fanatics jersey if you're a true fan, right? You got to have the latest jersey. So buy the Fanatics.
They're going to be as an inner turmoil with these jersey guys, the people that have to have the best jersey,
right?
But it's going to be Fanatics now.
Right. I mean, I'm looking over at my jersey collection. I have CCMs, right? And that's the real deal. That to me, that's going to be the standard forever. And I have Coho, and the blues. I bought a blues jersey 2000. It was right. I guess it was 2001, right before we went to the season opener in Columbus. We were at River City Sports, the Eaton Center, Toronto, and bought 2 Coho. Actually, Julie bought one. It was a CCM, and I bought a Blues Coho jersey from that era. And I've got Adidas. I think I've got a Reebok in there, and I do have. I think I have a Fanatics in there. So I've got the gamut of them, and they're just, to me, nothing will be better than, and I also do have some Chinese knockoffs. So does Kurt.
Sure. Well, how else are you supposed to get a custom Hamilton Mustangs jersey?
Right.
You can't. They're impossible to find. Unless I spend $300 on somebody's eBay auction,
right.
And then I don't get the player I want.
Right. And whatever. They're probably just reselling a Chinese knockoff.
They might be. I love a good looking jersey. I appreciate the differences between the higher end jerseys and the replicas. What annoys me with jerseys, I'll wear anything except for a knockoff that is wrong. Like and wrong in a sense where there's a knockoff Blues Winter Classic, right? And the logo is just wrong. It's not. Yeah. It's a goofy looking. It's not the old school original Blue Note, and it's not the new one. It's like a morph between the two. It doesn't look right, and it looks silly.
Yeah.
So
what about Jared Spurgino?
that was a Fanatics? Was that a Fanatics one?
That was a Fanatics.
Yeah,
that was the one that got the most play.
Yeah, the misspellings and whatnot. But I don't really care. I like Fanatics. I like replicas. I like authentics. I like the knockoffs. I'll wear whatever. I don't criticize people for wearing something that's not what's worn in the game or whatever. I really don't care personally. Because I'm not going to spend $200 and some odd on each time I want a jersey. If I want a jersey out of my collection, I might buy a knockoff, like a Hamilton Mustangs or Ontario London Knights jersey. That I have Thomas's London Knights jersey as a knockoff, but it's fantastic. It looks great. It was $30, so I'm not gonna credit. I don't really care. I'm just, I'm wearing the jersey, wearing the colors, but I do appreciate the differences. The authentics are great. They're fantastic looking jerseys. You can tell the difference. But does it bother me? No, it doesn't bother me to wear one or see one that's not authentic.
And I guess what I'm kind of surprised about is that the league sets who makes all the jerseys. Because it's not that way in soccer, at least. It's Liverpool changed from New Balance to Nike 2 years ago, and that was a massive coup for Nike, right? They fight for the big teams, and then you got smaller teams using like Puma and not as big brand names. I'm surprised that doesn't happen in. I don't know. Maybe it's just a difference between American professional sports. I haven't followed MLS long enough to know if it's the same way there, but just kind of odd.
Matt Harris says, well, even comparing Fanatics to the cheapest Adidas, it's a drastically worse quality compared to the Adidas and almost the same price. Well, I'm not going to argue that. I'm not, I don't, if it's about the same price, well, then I buy the better jersey. I don't know, but and I also know that the players aren't going to be wearing the worst quality jerseys in 2 years. They're going to make a in-game quality jersey for that. They also talked about the materials, making them more resistant to blade cuts as well. So that's going to be interesting. So we'll see how that works out. And Ken Morris asked me if I'd ever wear a Blackhawks jersey. I have never in my life worn one, and I don't think I ever will. Maybe if it's a Griswold, maybe.
The Christmas vacation.
Yeah, to a Christmas party, I'd wear that. Maybe with a Griswold on the back that's 00.
There is a Blackhawks jersey in my house, but it is not mine.
Austin says, "But you wear a Bruins jersey." Let's bring Austin in here for a second because he's a Jersey guy. Hey, Austin.
What's up?
Yeah, I wore a Bruins jersey in the Ponder Cup. That was an Adam Oates tribute. Adam Oates
Still Bruins jersey.
Adam Oates is my guy. Yeah, but back then, the Bruins were fine. In my mind, I didn't mind. I was actually a Bruins fan back then, back in the Cam Neely days. Bill was a Neely fan.
Yeah. That's
Ray Bork, Cam Neely.
Right. When I went to Providence, people said I looked like him. I don't see it, but okay. If it endears me to you, go for it.
You did. You had a Neely vibe going on.
You want to kick my dog while you're here?
That's great.
That was probably the best ad campaign for a new sports product. Right. I love that.
So Austin, your thoughts on Fanatics jerseys in general?
I mean, personally, I like the Fanatics jersey over the Adidas jersey.
Why is that? Why is that?
A buyer.
Explain.
Point.
Price is one of them. Yes.
See, and that's something that shouldn't be lost on people, because that was my thing with the CCM replicas back in the day. They were cheaper quality. Hell, the material would pill sometimes on those things. Yeah, and pull and snag.
Hell, I'm wearing one right now. I'm wearing a Fanatics jersey right now.
There you go. I have one upstairs. It's fine. I was
Love
the Jersey Fairy, Joanna the Jersey Fairy. I won one of her contests on Twitter, and she sent me a weight jersey. Not a weight jersey, a O'Reilly jersey. That's foreshadowing. He's coming back, just like Doug Waite. But no, it's great. It's a fine jersey, and I'm not going to say it's as good a quality as what they use in the game, but for a fan who's going to a game or just to wear to a bar, it's more than fine, guys. Yeah.
I have I have multiple Fanatics jerseys, and then I have one Adidas jersey, and I've wore my Adidas jersey once and was like, okay, this is comfortability wise, like you said, like
comfortability.
You're going to a game, you're going to a bar, you're going out, you just want to wear it. Fanatics is the way to go. If you're using it and wearing it in a game, that's a different story. Like if you are using a Adidas jersey in, like, let's say you're using it in a beer league ice game, I mean, it has the fight strap, so it won't
right.
Well, even knockoffs have a fight strap too.
I'm wearing my Adidas. This is because I knew we were going to talk about DP57.
Yep.
Wearing the DP57 last year Winter Classic, 2 year ago Winter Classic. I hope it's within those 2 years. But yeah, it's like the fight strap, right? The what do I do with this on, that was a thing in high school. If we had fight straps on our jerseys and the days that we wore them, game days we wore them. If you got caught actually strapping the fight strap down, you get your ass kicked.
Matt Harris says, I'm just hoping that they up their game on the quality for the price. I still wouldn't pay for a Fanatics for what they're currently charging. I also don't find them very comfortable. I can guarantee you that the jersey offerings when they in 24, 25, the materials and stuff will be different than today. And especially for what's one on the ice. It's going to be, if you can buy those jerseys, you can buy the high quality Fanatics. They don't have Fanatics
high quality and Fanatics in the same set.
Well, what I'm saying is that what the players wear or close to what they wear, those will be for sale, and it's going to be a higher quality product, and and you can buy it. So it's not going to, and I get it because the Fanatics is kind of known with lesser quality right now, but I think that'll change quite a bit, at least as far as with the offerings you'll have to buy, Authentics and stuff.
Right. If their quality control game doesn't get upped with this contract, the NHL's got to have an out. Right? That had to have been negotiated into it.
Yeah.
So Like I said when we're in our Slack chat about this the other day, as long as we're not rocking Ruth or Nest era Blues jersey quality, like those were probably the lowest quality jerseys ever worn in an NHL game, ripping all the time, terrible mesh, right?
Yeah.
As long as we're not doing that, I think it's going to be okay.
As soon as I heard that Fanatics was taken over in 24-25, my instant thought was, oh my gosh, people are going to be pissed. Because you always see complaints about the Fanatics quality control right now. I'm assuming it'll change. I'm assuming that'll change.
Right. And the Fanatics, like, you order a jersey from them for your personal use, right? Somebody in a factory somewhere who probably doesn't give a shit is putting that together. At the NHL, those are done in locker room, right? It's, if there's a mistake, it's not on Fanatics, it's on the NHL team.
Derek in the YouTube chat says, as a game-worn collector, even if Fanatics is still using the same Quebec factory for the in-game jerseys, slapping a Fanatics logo on it is like putting a Huffy logo on a carbon fiber road bike.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah, but in the end, you still got a carbon fiber road bike, though.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm just curious. When Reebok took over, people hated that. When Adidas took over, people hated that. I don't think it mattered who took over. People were going to hate it unless CCM came back. But didn't Nike buy out CCM or Coho bought out CCM, right?
I think so.
Or no, Nike bought Coho. What happened to CCM? Power bought Coho.
I got you.
Yeah.
Power.
See, they need to bring back the CCM brand, and just make jerseys of that.
Bill, you're wrong. Coho was acquired by CCM/Reebok in 2004.
That's right. And CCM is still a thing. They just don't make jerseys. They make equipment.
Okay. So they should make jerseys again. Go back to them and say, hey, let's go old school. That'd be cool.
Right.
CCM.
Real reverse retros.
That'd be nice. Yeah, that's true. Slap a CCM logo on the reverse retro.
Oh,
that'd be nice. Okay, so we'll see how the jersey thing happens. I'm very curious. I'm gonna kind of half enjoy all the Fanatics hate from the Jersey folks. It's kind of funny. Jersey snobs. Again, I don't say that in a mean way. I'm trying to just define that group of people. The picky Jersey people.
Jersey people.
Next up for the Blues, Thursday at Detroit, 6 p.m. Verona and Letty's return to Detroit. Tribute videos for them. Yay, nay, probably not.
Yeah, Grice gets one.
Saturday at Anaheim, 9:30. Sunday at LA, 9:30. Wow, 9:30 Sunday game.
Right.
Woo, West Coast.
Yeah, you know what? As a kid, I love West Coast games.
The only thing with because what is City? Are they home?
Are they home?
I think so.
So they're playing Salt Lake. So at least you can transition one game into the next, right? If it's home, watch the City game.
True.
And
they're not at home.
So it's in Salt Lake. So it's got to be an 8:30 start.
8:30
sucks.
So just pick up the Blues game in the second period.
Well, what I'll do is I'll watch the City game live and the Blues game on DVR.
Yeah, I got to figure out if I'm going to go to this damn concert
on Saturday. And Tuesday, the Vancouver game. Vancouver, 7 p.m. And Austin, Bill, Ponder, and myself will all be at the Let's Go Blues radio. I'll be at the game.
Right. Austin will be outside Portal 7 signing autographs.
Yeah, he'll be there with a bunch of portraits of himself, right? Bunch of headshots ready to sign.
You can't bring your own Austin Lynch hockey card. He will not sign those.
Right. And he'll have a little table set up.
If you can bring me an Austin Lynch baseball card from 2010, I'll sign it. I think I still have those.
All right. We'll let you go back into your little hole there.
My little hidey hole.
Hidey ho. All right. Rapid fire tidbits from around the NHL. Just a couple of Pride Night things that happened. More weirdness and disappointment for me and a lot of people. A lot of bullshit surrounding Pride Night. The bigotry, the ignorance, the teams being scared to, stand up for what they want to do. It's kind of disappointing. On Saturday, March 18th, San Jose Sharks goaltender James Reimer did not participate in San Jose's Pride Night. Here's a statement James Reimer released via the San Jose Sharks Twitter. Under the umbrella of the NHL's Hockey is for Everyone initiative, the San Jose Sharks have chosen to wear jerseys in support of the LGBTQIA+ community tonight. For all 13 years of my NHL career, I have been a Christian, not just in title, but in how I choose to live my life daily. I have a personal faith in Jesus Christ, who died on the cross for my sins, and in response, asked me to love everyone and follow him. I have no hate in my heart. Go ahead.
But not the case.
Yeah. I have no hate in my heart for anyone, and I have always strived to treat everyone that I encounter with respect and kindness. In this specific instance, I'm choosing not to endorse something that is counter to my personal convictions, which are based on the Bible, the highest authority in my life. I strongly believe that every person has value and worth, and the LGBTQIA community, like all others, should be welcomed in all aspects of the game of hockey. And that's James Reimer that said that. It's funny how, like, Reimer and others who have chosen not to wear the Pride jerseys want to have it both ways, right? They want to say that, well, no, I welcome everyone to play. I love everyone. I'm not against anyone to play hockey. Everyone should be playing hockey and be free to play hockey and welcome to the sport. But there's always a big old but there. So you really can't have it both ways. Either you support bigoted beliefs or you don't. So, I mean, I believe him when he says that he loves everyone, and I believe that's what he feels. But his actions say otherwise. So it's like he wants to have his cake and eat it too, as far as like, adhering to his religion, and also saying that he's for everyone, for the Hockey is for Everyone initiative of the NHL. So if he strongly believes that every person has value and worth, and the LGBTQIA plus community should be welcomed in all aspects of the game of hockey, like he said in his quote there, then why not wear the jersey? I mean, because wearing the jersey doesn't mean that you are endorsing the lifestyle. You're just saying that the people that do live their lives that way are welcome in my sport that I play. You're not, by wearing the jersey, you're not endorsing the LGBTQIA plus lifestyle. You are just saying that those who do follow that lifestyle are welcome in all aspects of life, in hockey and also everywhere. So to me, if you're supporting bigoted beliefs and you're making those beliefs your own, it makes you a bigot. I'm sorry. I don't think you can't have it both ways. You can't say that you refuse to wear this to support that, but you're also in favor of that. You know what I mean? And I feel like we've rehashed this a lot,
right?
With the Flyers and the Rangers. So far, the Blackhawks now have come out just today. Mark Lazarus wrote an article in the Athletic saying that the Blackhawks have announced that nobody on the team will be wearing a Pride jersey during their Pride night, even though that was the plan a little bit ago. to wear Pride jerseys and auction them off, for the community,
Right.
for the charity. But it's a management decision. It's not a player decision. So they didn't even give the players the option. And they said they did this in response to Russia's anti-LGBTQIA plus propaganda law that they feel like it could endanger their Russian players, their families, subject them to undue criticism, and things of that nature. So, yeah, and Matt Harris says the Chicago's kept their Pride Night jerseys, but spent years covering up sexual assault between two guys. Yeah, Chicago's kind of they really had the opportunity. I understand them wanting to protect their players. I get it. If they have concern about their players, they're kind of put in a tough spot here. They want to support the initiative of the NHL, the Hockey is for Everyone, but they also want to protect their players and their players' families, and they have concerns there. I get it.
So, I mean, if this is a valid argument, I would want the NHL to just come out and say, all right, going forward, we're still going to do Pride Night. Russians are exempted, right? Because of potential political persecution that they could face at home, right? That I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
So stop making it controversial.
Right. And that's an excellent alternative that the NHL could step in and do, because that's actually a thing. If Russians have family back home, who knows what kind of persecution they would have if you're a high profile Russian player and you're seen wearing a Pride jersey, and all of a sudden, you catch flack back home or whatever. Or when you go back home over the summer, there's problems. You're arrested or whatever, because it's so. And the thing too with this is, the Blackhawks said the organization, let's say, they chose not to give the players the choice, citing concerns the Russian players could be put in a position to cite the Russian law as the reason for their absence. Due to the way the law is written in Russia, the team was worried players could end up violating it simply by citing it as the reason for their lack of participation, because it would imply they otherwise would have worn the jerseys. So by the Russian players even just coming out and saying, I'm not going to wear this jersey because it's against what my country, the laws of my country. Apparently, the way the law is written, that could be against the law, because it implies they'd wear the jersey if it wasn't for the law.
Yeah. So the only the only right thing to do is the NHL just to make an exemption for anybody that would be subject to the Russian laws.
Right. And the Blackhawks stated, we do not condone anti-LGBTQIA plus rhetoric, and we stand firmly with the community, except when Russia bullies us. So that's a great point, Bill. The NHL should really step in, and because of this Russian law and the concerns on the players and the players' families, they should give Russians the option to opt out if they wish.
Right.
And that's a completely fair and reasonable thing, I think, that I don't think anybody could really throw a stink over. That would solve a lot of Bill, you're a genius. That is a great idea.
I have one good idea a month, and I got to share it tonight.
Let's see. Has Ken Morris, did we put that up there? Has Ovi worn a Pride jersey for Capitals Pride Night? I don't know. Have they worn jerseys? I don't think they have.
Yeah, that's a good question. But out of all the NHLers, he's probably the one that could probably get a personal pardon from Putin. Like,
I don't think he would wear it just because of his relationship with Putin.
Probably.
And yeah, I'm gonna guess that Washington hasn't had a Pride jersey, because if they had, and whether Ovechkin wore it or didn't wear it, that'd be big news either way, right? So, right. Especially since December.
Not only him, but Kuznetsov, Orlov.
Right.
They've had a couple of others.
Yeah. So I think this has been a mess for the NHL this season, and I was wondering what Pride Nights will look like moving forward next season. I bet they reevaluate things and change things up. And what Bill suggested would be a great addition to Pride Nights would be giving Russians or anybody that has a law back home that could, cause issues with them and their families.
Right. And I think, the pretty, I would imagine it's a pretty small minority, the evangelicals like Reimer, right? You give them an exemption too. But you do it in a way that allows the team to still do it. Right. And
that's what the Sharks did. To give the Sharks credit, they didn't go the route of the Rangers. The Rangers, right? Well, the Rangers, they had a player who didn't want to wear it, so none of the team did, to prevent a Provorov situation where the one player is criticized publicly and run through the ringer. So that's why the Rangers did that. The Chicago Blackhawks did a little bit differently. The management made the decision, didn't even let the players just have an option, or so they say. But I think the Sharks did it right though. They did what the Flyers did, and if someone didn't want to wear it, fine. He'll face the fallout for it, but the rest of the team is wearing it. Yeah, and I think that's the way to go, I think.
Right. But even the Flyers, I mean, we covered it. They botched it by, having Provorov just not participate in warm-ups, and letting him play.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm sure their thought process was, well, we've got Tortorella, he'll be able to talk us out of this. He'll take the brunt of this.
Yeah, the NHL is going to have to change something. I almost guarantee it will not be exactly the same.
Right.
They don't want each time this happens to have negative press. Players not wearing jerseys. It's a big deal.
Right. I hope that we don't get a press release saying that they're putting it on pause for next year while they consider it. There's enough time to get this figured out for next year. I gave you a pretty good idea. I'm not that smart.
Matt Harris said,
listen to other people.
Matt Harris said the Sharks were a masterclass in allyship last night, allowed Reimer to not participate, and then use their social media the whole night to advocate and inform to make change. And the rest of the team wore the jerseys. So they went on without Reimer. And that's the way that I think that's the best way to go about it for a team. If a player wants to make that choice, no one's going to force anybody to wear a Pride jersey. They don't have to wear it. No one's being forced. But so I think that's the best way. And that way, and actually, it shouldn't even get to the point where a player has to release a statement. I mean, the fact Reimer released a statement, I appreciate it but also that just opens up all kinds of can of worms as far as you're doing it for religious reasons. Okay, well, your religion also says that you can't wear clothes made from two different kinds of fabrics. So if you abide by your religion that strongly, then why are you wearing any jersey at all? Because there's multiple fabrics. There's all you can. I mean, if you're gonna. And that's my problem with the religious exemption for this stuff, is that if somebody's going to choose that aspect of the religion as a rule and follow it and not wear the jersey because of the anti-LGBTQIA rhetoric in their religion, then they're going to have they're using the religion to hide behind to allow themselves to be a bigot, actually, and to use to hide behind the religion to be that way. And I think that's just I don't know. Because they do the tweets and the press releases, and that allows people to understand why, and then they pick it apart and call them hypocrites for other things with the religion. So yeah, am I saying bigot too much? You can't discuss this without talking about bigotry. I mean, it's literally the definition of the word, right? If you're not accepting of somebody else for this kind of stuff, it's a big. I mean, it's not a nice. I hate saying it. It's like not a nice word to say. I feel dirty saying it, and I don't like people making me say it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No. I think, I would agree with your points. Right. We've known each other long enough where we're of similar political minds. So
Yeah. I'm in the drive. I don't. We've covered this stuff a lot this season, and I feel like some of it's repetitive, but it's a little different each time because of
Right.
who's doing it and who's exempt and why they're not doing it. There's always a slightly different reason.
Right. And I thought for the first time, like when Provorov did it, right? Like that was even brought up that there was a religious element to that, right? The
Right.
Russian Orthodox Church, right? I think the Blackhawks argument is probably the most persuasive to me, but it's the kind of thing, like I said, where you just give an exemption to groups that would face political persecution because of it.
And that makes sense. And that's a very simple solution, I think. The Provorov situation was irritating to me because he did use religion, Russian Orthodox, but his religion also says that you should not, sleep with a woman before you marry her either. And he was living with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming sleeping was going on there, among other things. So he was picking and choosing, and that's the problem. See, if you're going to use religion as a get out of jail free card for this stuff, man, you better be ironclad in your beliefs and follow it to a T, because people will like, oh, you're being a hypocrite and you're picking and choosing. And if you're picking and choosing and only choosing, something that allows you to be a bigot without being called a bigot because it's my religion, then that's a problem. You get run through the ringer because of it. I think it's a lose-lose situation for the NHL, though, and I think that's why next season it's going to be handled differently.
Right.
On that note, it's time to wrap up this show. Anything else you want to add? Wait, comments here? Let's see. Winning Unlimited says in the YouTube chat, can someone say for religious reasons we don't want to wear a Fanatics jersey? But I'm telling you, this Fanatics thing is people hate it. People hate it. And it's got all next year to fester,
right,
and build up momentum against these jerseys.
Right, and Jeff used the in his tweets and his Slack chat today, tone deaf. The NHL is tone deaf on this, and that's true. But profits make you tone deaf, right? And that seems to be what this is, where this is really headed. Right, it's Fanatics is going to produce a cheaper product and make more profits for everybody involved.
But will they be producing a cheaper product in 24-25 for the higher end jerseys that they're offering? That's where we got to wait and see. Right. I mean, they could put out a fantastic jersey.
Right.
I mean, who knows? Now, of course, their track record is not great for the jersey snobs, right? They pick those things apart as far as them not being up to snuff. So we'll see.
We'll see.
Matt Harris says, winning is speaking my religion. He often does. All right. I think that'll do it for this episode. Support for Let's Go Blues Radio is brought to you in part by ID Life, the world's only truly personalized vitamin platform based on a health assessment of your DNA. Visit rockinthatidlife.com for more information. That is rockinthatidlife.com, and get 10% off by emailing Dustin at rockinthatidlife@gmail.com and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you. And by Mike Burgoyne from Real Brokerage Realty. Visit strikewithmike.com today for all of your home buying and selling needs. That's strikewithmike.com. And by Center Ice Brewery, St. Louis's tasty hockey-themed beer. Check out your local beer vendors or beer stores for availability. That's Center Ice Brewery beer. Please drink responsibly. That will wrap up episode 29 of season 11 of the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Thanks for listening, and thanks to those who participated in the YouTube and Facebook live chats during the live show. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. For the missing in action, probably banging on the glass at Bally's Midwest. Wanting answers.
Right.
And Bill Day. I'm and producer Austin, who is, you want to say bye, Austin? Hey, let's get you in here for this.
Yeah, sure.
There you go. I am Kurt Price. Until next time, everyone, let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.